Hi guys, welcome back. We're so excited you're here. As you can see, we're on video again, and we are in Massachusetts in my hometown at my parents' house. And we're doing a little setup differently today, and then we're going to be headed back to Florida on our road trip soon. But we're excited about today's topic because it's an important one. But before we start, I want to remind you, I have a 5-month mediumship mentorship coming up in September, and the self-study version of it is always available. So I just want to plug that in before we start this episode. And mediumship development is a big topic, and there's so many pros and cons. And Tony, you've experienced mediumship. You've seen me start with it and struggle with the mindset pieces, and then you've also had your own experiences too, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I realized that once I'm surrounded by a group of mediums, my mediumship starts to take off immediately.
Yeah.
It reminds me of mirror neurons, how whenever you're around somebody, no matter what the emotions are, your brain, your body, your emotions start to mirror that. And that's exactly how I feel. As soon as I get around other mediums, it's as if my mediumship takes a jump immediately, equivalent to the mediums that are actually around me.
That's actually exactly what takes place. I found that when I've been either attending workshops and mentorships or hosting them or in my mediumship membership, and it's like it automatically, you rise to the occasion of whatever is happening to go further with the mediumship. And I always say to my mediumship members, I say, if you're sitting here just observing tonight, that's totally fine, because sometimes it's just as powerful to observe other mediums doing readings, and then the next time you give the readings, you're going to have some similar experiences, whether you realize it or not. You may pick up the same evidence. You may find that your confidence changes because you were able to watch that. Just like watching, I know we always compare it to basketball because you love basketball too, but football, they watch films to study other athletes and the way that they work, and it helps, right?
Exactly, and it reminds me of going to your mediumship platform events.
Yeah.
To where just me being there in the audience alone, it increases my mediumship. Like I start to get more in tune.
Yeah.
And this lasts for, I would say, like 2 to 3 days after, to where that high, to where my energy was raised in that event, it continues to pay off afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to where once you get around a group of like-minded people, no matter what it is, like you were just saying with basketball, I played basketball my entire life. And when I excelled the fastest was when I was going to the basketball camps, when I was practicing every day around people that were actually better than me or older than me. And it would raise my game that much more. And mediumship is no different. It's, if you want to develop a skill, you must seek out people that resonate with you and that are actually on levels above you. And that sounds scary, because other things that come up when you start to surround yourself with people that are above you, that are on higher levels, like more skillful mediums or better basketball players, another thing that will come up is you'll start to feel insecure.
Right.
And a lot of times we think that's a bad thing, and we get in our head and we get lost down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But it's actually a really good thing. That's a sign that you're in the right place and that your mediumship is actually going to excel from that moment.
It's true. And probably every single time I've attended workshops, because my big thing is always develop when it comes to mediumship. Like, development is everything, and that's why we're doing this episode. But when I've attended workshops, I could probably count on more than my hands, the amount of people that I've seen leave during a workshop. They might leave the first day. They probably will show up like 5 hours, and then they end up leaving. I've seen it. I've seen it like over and over again at in-person workshops. If there's a big group of people, they think, oh, this might not be for me. I'm not good enough. I'm not on their level. Mm-hmm. And then there's other people that might think, well, I'm higher above the level that they're at, so I'm going to leave. But in actuality, no matter what level you're at, it's important to be surrounded with both groups of people. And the benefits of that kind of showed up in my 3rd grade classroom, because we always were taught to do differentiated instruction. And I always thought, this is crazy. You have to put the higher level student with the lower level student. But what ended up happening was, as I saw it in my reading groups, and you probably noticed the same thing, that the kids on the higher level in reading were actually so proud of themselves because they were helping the other students, or they were sitting and doing their thing, and they got more confidence. And then the kids on the lower level could see how the kids on the higher level would use like reading expression and make their reading more fun in the way that they did it. And you have an ant on you, and that's what it takes to be outside. So that's exactly what happens. And when it comes to mediumship, the same thing takes place. But you really have to get out of your own way, because it's easy to think, oh, I'm too low, or I'm too high, I'm not right here. But that's what kind of pushes me apart from some of the other mediums that have come into my program or wanted to come into my program. They ask, how are you mixing the two groups together? How does that work? And what I've found is I weed out the people that aren't supposed to be there. Because if they think that it can't be done, it's not going to be done for them, because their mindset isn't there. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. That reminds me, because that's like a paradox there. It's a pitfall, I would call it.
Yeah.
A lot of times when the medium or the basketball player, they think, oh, I'm too good to be in this group.
Yeah.
More times than not, their perception is way off, and they're not as good as they think they are. And that's a sign, actually. If you go into a group, yeah, maybe sometimes you go into a group and you're like, wait, this is not for me, and this person's integrity is not for me.
Yeah,
or
that's different.
Different. But a lot of the times when you get in your head and you think, oh, I'm too good for this, or I'm not good enough, it's actually, I find that it's because their perception is off.
Totally.
Like you said,
comes back to mindset.
They're getting in their own way, and they're not doing the mindset. Their self-awareness is not as high as it needs to be. And when I see somebody like that, if you ever feel like that, I would say, go increase your level of self-awareness, because as we increase our self-awareness, then our perception starts to become more clear, and then our mediumship skills and every other area of our life starts to take off at a faster rate.
Totally. And this comes back to being surrounded with people that are going to tell you the truth. And it's not going to always be pretty. I've got myself in trouble by speaking the truth, but in the end, it benefited the people. Because it's important to stay in integrity no matter what you're doing, but it could feel uncomfortable at first. And that's the one thing that when I'm teaching, I always joke around and saying, like, there's a sweet side to me, but there's also a third grade teacher in me where I have to be firm and say, okay, you can go deeper with this. Or, maybe you're doubting yourself in this situation, but why is that coming up for you? And literally bring you to that awareness or share it with you of something that I see. And I think that's important when you're looking for a teacher too, whether it's me or someone else, making sure that you have a teacher that's going to tell you the truth so that you're not sitting and spinning in circles with your mediumship development. I feel like there's a lot of pros and cons. Like the pros, I know you've experienced it yourself, Tony. Pros of mediumship, once you tap into the world of mediumship, you start to believe in the power of more than what we could see with the human eye. So maybe before you were grateful for your life, but once you walk into mediumship, you start to realize that you're always supported by the spirit realm. You're never alone, and we're all connected with love. And that sounds like, rainbows and sunshines, but it's not all like that.
Yeah, because it's like once you start to open up to this, you start to realize that it's not all this scary stuff that you see on TV and in the movies and how it's portrayed as witches and all of that. It's actually very healing. One, two, you're able to connect with people that passed away. It's just like when you're here on planet Earth and you're wanting to go out to coffee with a friend because you haven't seen them in a long time, that reconnection happens and you feel really good about it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing there. And another thing is, it starts to, from my experience and from just hearing other people's stories, it starts to make you live more in the moment.
Totally.
Because you realize you have a different take on death now. Now you realize that, wait, this thing that we call life and death, it's actually eternity. Like it's never ending. So it's like when we leave here, we go to another realm, so we might as well enjoy this realm while we're here.
Yes. And when you just said that, it made me think of some stories that my students will share. They'll email me or they'll tell me in the last class, and they'll say, okay, you told me that the mediumship was going to change and I would feel more confident, but I feel like my whole life has shifted. All of a sudden, and it's not pretty when it's happening either, by the way. They feel as though there's relationships in their lives that have fallen away, but then there's other ones that have been nourished and are getting stronger and more deep and more honest. And it completely changes everything in their life. And all of a sudden, it's like this clear path comes about. Now, with that said, the mediumship changes, and then also your life transforms because you start to feel more confident in yourself and more free to be who you are. There's also that thing that I want you to know. Some people joining mediumship, just like me, I thought I was going to retire as a third grade teacher still when I was developing my mediumship. You might not even be sure that you want to do it for a living at all. I wasn't. I actually went to develop my mediumship to connect in with my own past loved one, Nick, and that's when everything developed. I started to connect with my grandpa. I started to connect with Nick. I started to connect with other people's past loved ones, and I realized how healing it was. And then from there, my heart just guided me to each place.
Right. I believe that this should be in all of the schools. Like, we should be teaching kids. I know to some people out there it might sound crazy,
yeah.
But to me, as an ex-teacher, as someone who's passionate about education and really helping people, like at the school I was at, our mission was preparing kids for life. Well, if we're going to prepare kids for life, like, I feel like we should be teaching them about mediumship skills and developing their mind, because like Lindsay said, this isn't just about, here, let me become a medium so I could do it as a career. Even if you're not going to do it as a career, this will benefit anybody because of that. You're developing your mind, you're developing the faculties of your mind, and it's not going to only help you communicate with past loved ones. It's going to, like Lindsay was just saying, it's going to help every area of your life. And it's really going to be hard to see how that's going to happen until you start to take the journey.
Exactly. And it is taking that step, because there's fear of, like, should I be doing this or should I not be doing it? But if you have that pull, like, I'm interested in this, there's a reason that you're even thinking about it. So I think that's important.
If you're watching this podcast, or if
you're
listening
still
to it,
or listening, there's a reason.
There's a reason. So you have to follow that inner pull. You could go start by going on YouTube and start looking up free videos. I do that a lot with any other new skill that I want to learn. I'll just start seeking out new videos, and then if I want to go deeper with it, like when I start to become a coach, I'll buy courses, I'll surround myself with other coaches, and so on. And that's what you do. So you have to start somewhere. You could go to Barnes & Noble or Amazon, and you could buy a book about it.
Right. Last bit of information, because it's important to share the pros and the cons, and we had some cons in there, but you are going to get resistance. Some of it's going to be from the people closest to you. Other times, you know, I just put up a Facebook ad the other day, and I had a Bible verse at the bottom of the Facebook ad saying I was sinning. You know, these types of things are going to come up, but it's important for you to follow your heart along the way, because if you did anything and everything that everyone else felt comfortable with and made them happy, and, you know, it looked good to them, and you were playing it safe, you would never be happy. Nobody would be happy. Everyone would be living someone else's life, you know? So it's important right now more than ever to step into that energy of whatever it is, whether it's developing your intuition at the start or tuning into the mediumship and really opening up to the spirit realm. It's just tapping into another form of potential that we have. You know, they say you only use a certain percentage of your brain. I believe this is the other part of the other piece too.
Right, because you have two choices. You could keep living your life how you've been living and ignore this instinct, ignore the reason why you're even listening to this podcast or watching it right now, or pulled to mediumship, and everything will be fine, right? You're not going to rock the boat too much, and you're going to be comfortable. And for me, that gets boring. Like, when I'm comfortable and things are just going, like, to anybody, I think it gets boring. Or you have a choice to follow that instinct, hop into it, and like Lindsay said, and accept that as you do this, you're going to experience resistance from within, and you're going to experience resistance from the outside world, and that's okay. It's all part of the process. That's just a sign that you're growing and that you're leveling up your life.
Yes. Last thing I want to say is, reminder, if you are someone that's interested in going on the journey and you want free videos, or you want to check out the mentorship or the self-study program, go to lindsaymarino.com and click on Learn with Lindsay. You'll see Unlock Your Inner Medium, the program where it's the mentorship and the self-study, or there's videos on there that has all free content so you can get a taste of what it's like. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. If you liked it, leave a 5-star review on iTunes, and remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel too.
If you can think of anyone else that would love this episode, share it with them right now on social media or email. And remember, getting results is a process of learning, applying, and reflecting. Stay consistent and continue to grow every day.